So now you can see the final weapon here. I've actually projected that side view texture image on, or that side view reference image on, as a texture, just using the same tools that we used for ShadowBox, not ShadowBox, for Spotlight that you saw earlier. If we rotate around, you can see I touched up a lot of areas just by sampling color directly from the image. Let's recenter it so you can see it clearly. There we go. I'll just go through and sample just by clicking from right here and dragging over to the shade of gray that I want, sampling it, and then just painting it in directly. And you can add little bits of distressing if you want. My belief is to usually just texture something first and then distress it after you've got the texture on, so you can add the scratches and the bumps and whatnot. And you definitely want to do that if you're going to create a final model with this. You want to give it some sense of being used. This is all just poly paint, and again, it's all done just by using Spotlight. If I go to Texture and turn Spotlight on, you'll be able to see exactly what I mean. I've got the Spotlight right here with the reference image on there, and I just used this to, let me turn up my opacity, I just used this to apply texture, just like that, which you've already seen in the previous portions of the video, just applying texture directly from the side view image. And because I had X symmetry turned on, it projected through to the opposite side, and I was able to clean up the bits in between using just standard poly painting. As a matter of fact, here's an area that I missed, so you'll be able to see, well, all I did was use the standard brush with a freehand stroke, usually no alpha, and then just click and drag to grab a sample off of the actual image or off of the document. And then you can just paint that gray right in, just like so. I've also gone in and just added a few more details using the same tools that we've looked at already. I finished off the secondary hand grip and added a little bit of texture to it. If we zoom in on the main portion of the gun here, I'll actually isolate this so we can move into it quickly. You can see that I added a little bit of surface texture down here, and the way I did that was just by using the surface noise function. Turn on noise and then adjust the noise scale, and then click apply to mesh when you like what you've got. Here's a good example right here of an area that I'll need to touch up. I'll just pick that color gray and just paint right over it. There we go. Usually I avoid trying to texture in the actual shadows of little engraved areas. I find it's much easier just to let the shadow of that engraved area cast itself. There's no need to paint that shadow in. You can if you want to, but I don't find it really helps all that much, and it's something that you're going to get out of an ambient occlusion map anyway. Here's another little area that I can fix up right there. There we go. And I'll click there to show all again. So I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it. So far you've seen how to use ShadowBox to create sculptable geometry extremely quickly. This is probably one of the most powerful new tools in ZBrush, is the ability to paint your front, side, and top views and actually create sculpt-ready geometry from those image planes that you draw directly in ZBrush. I've also seen how we can finesse and refine those forms using the planar brushes and the clip brushes and the trim normal, trim dynamic brushes. Those are the bare bones hard surface brushes, and you've got the basics on how they work now because you understand how to use the brush depth control that you see here. There's a lot of nuances to all those planar brushes, and the best way to understand them is to just experiment with them. I encourage you to experiment and use the depth controls and get a feel for how they all work, and you'll find you'll find how each brush works, and you'll find an application for them. You'll find the more you experiment with them, the clearer it becomes on how you can use them together. A lot of times I work exactly the way I showed you here. I'll use the very basic planar brushes to knock back planes, and then I'll refine those using the trim brushes. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, I encourage you to email me if you have any questions or comments. My email address is scott@scottspencer.com. Thank you very much for watching, and I love hearing from folks who find these useful, or if you have any questions, you want to share your work, feel free to get in touch. And enjoy the rest of the magazine, and thanks for watching.